house one time. He had bought an old station wagon for $100, and I said, "What for?" And he said, "There's a muffler system on the bottom of it that I want." But the tires were all flat and it was kind of sitting on the ground. So I said, "How are you going to get it off?" And he said, "Watch." He had a monster truck and he hooked a chain through this window and over the top. And then he hooked it to the back of his truck and he just pulled the car upside down, flipped it over, took the muffler off and the exhaust system, and then flipped it back. I admired his ingenuity. He first came to a yard sale at my house. Bought some baby stuff for his grandchild, even though he was only about 30 years old. And told me he was a mechanic. I'm always looking for a good mechanic. So I took my car over to him to get it worked on. We ended up trading cars and doing all kinds of stuff for years. He'd come borrow money from me because he wanted to buy a 300-gallon aquarium or cigarettes for the monkey at the zoo. He used to buy a case of Camel cigarettes, take them to the zoo, and one by one throw cigarettes to the orangutan, who apparently was addicted to nicotine because of Jimmy. And they were the best of friends, him and that monkey. I went to his house one time, and he had a black eye. I said, "What happened to you?" And he smiled real big and he said, "Family reunion." He was one of the craziest people I ever met. He's a hazmat driver now. And by his own admission, he will kill anyone who gets in his way because he has been authorized by the powers that be to kill people that pull in front of hazmat drivers. Because if you don't run them over, then you're liable to jackknife your hazmat vehicle and create an even bigger problem. Jimmy Tuck came to my house one time and I was tearing out all the azalea bushes because I hate azaleas. And Jimmy Tuck lived in it looked like a auto garage basically. There was auto parts everywhere in his house, and the screen door was torn, and there was strange creatures wandering in and out. And I was tearing out azaleas, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm tearing up azaleas." And he said, "I can use some flowers in my yard." I said, I'll say that's true. And he said, "Well, what are you going to do with those azaleas?" And I said, "I'm going to throw them away." "Why, you want some?" He said, "Well, it depends. What color are they?" I said, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, I'm not really interested in azaleas except the white ones." And his yard had no flowers in it. And I went, and about 2 weeks later, he had went and bought 2 small white azalea plants and planted them right in the middle of a place where they were going to get trampled by all of his cars, by him tipping cars over left and right. A couple years later, I was in the worst part of Pensacola, and there was a guy having a yard sale. A tough looking little monkey. And I picked up a Bible on the table, and it said Michael Tuck. And Tuck's not the most common name. So I said, "Is this your Bible?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Are you any relation to Jimmy Tuck?" And he said, "No." And there was a funny look on his face. He said, "No." And about 5 minutes later, he said, "I saw Jimmy once in juvie." The juvie is juvenile court. Jimmy tried to kill himself when he was a kid. He showed me the scars on his hands. Wrist, long, nasty scars. And that would have been a shame. He's a wonderful person. Apparently he worked out whatever is difficult for. And ended up being a productive member of society.
A turquoise girl with a turquoise heart, a turquoise girl in a turquoise dress.